Felix. Felix.
Speeding, were you?
35.
I was not. In fact,
35 and
I was
30.
going frustratingly slow.
Mr. Hayes, this gentleman stopped in. He wanted to talk to you.
Oh yeah, he called me this afternoon.
Okay, good.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate it.
Okay, everyone, good afternoon. It is currently 5:03 and time to start the Community Development Committee meeting for Monday, May the 2nd, 2022. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Moisio. Alderman Florian.
Present.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Okay, thank you. If I could have a first and a second for the approval of the minutes for the April 4th, 2022 regular meeting.
I'll give you first.
Second.
Okay, that'll be a first by Alderman Hayes, second by Alderman Florian.
Forget who he was already.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Number two, audience time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to talk about anything that is on the Community Development Committee meeting? Okay, we will proceed to old business. The first item under old business is a motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for auto body repair at 1307 West Belvedere Road, zoning calendar number 2649. May I have a first and a second, please?
First.
Okay, I have a first by Alderman Turner,
Second.
second by Alderman Hayes. Roll call, please.
No questions?
Oh, any questions? Questions or concerns?
I just want to make sure that the issues were addressed. Noel, I can't see you because of all the reflection. Can you just speak to some of the stuff that came up during the planning and zoning meeting and whether that stuff was taken care of?
Sure. We did have issues about the site plan and how the traffic flow and things were going to work on the site. The landlord has been very cooperative with staff and has made efforts to address all of our concerns. And we think that that's in a good place, and anything that hasn't already been taken care of will be in conformance with the conditions that were prepared by staff and part of the ordinance.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye. Motion passes. Item B, motion to approve an ordinance granting a variation on required lot size for automotive repair shop at 1325 West Belvedere Road, zoning calendar number 2651. Are there any questions to this motion? May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Alderman Turner, seconded by Alderman Hayes.
I would say the same thing here, Noel. I know there were some issues also with this, if I'm not mistaken, and has that been all addressed?
Yes. So this variation is just because the lot size is slightly smaller than our requirement, and it's the conditional use permit for this particular property that manages any of the issues that we had. And again, it's the same property owner who has been cooperative and really making an effort to try to meet the city's requests and requirements.
Great, thank you.
Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Item C, motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for automotive repair shop at 1325 West Belvedere Road, zoning calendar number 2650. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman Hayes. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. The motion passes. Item D, motion to approve an ordinance granting a variance on required lot size for automotive repair shop 1335 West Belvedere Road, zoning calendar number 2651.
Make the motion.
Motion by Alderman Turner,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Florian. Any questions, please? Roll call?
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. Item E, motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for tire sales and services at 1335 West Belvedere Road. This is zoning calendar number 2652. May I have a motion, please?
Make the motion.
Motion by Alderman Turner, seconded by Alderman Hayes. Any questions to this motion? May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. Item F, motion to approve an ordinance approving a preliminary and final plat of GMX-Waukegan subdivision at 3232 North Lewis Avenue, zoning calendar number 2655. May I have a motion, please? Motion by Alderman Hayes, second
Okay, I'll second it.
by Alderman Turner. Any questions to this motion?
Yes. So, again, Noel, I know there were issues brought up at the planning and zoning meeting by residents, and there were some, pretty interesting, I don't know what, intense concerns about the neighbors. So have there been anything resolved from that, I guess is my question.
So the traffic study was prepared and is attached. That is the reason that the applicant had requested to be held over to this meeting. So the traffic study is attached. The complaints or concerns of the neighbors were really not related to this user. They were related to existing conditions around garbage and things. So it's not really something that an applicant can address. They can provide garbage cans and things for their own customers, but they can't enforce the behavior of other people in the neighborhood. In my experience, when there's more activity in an area, it's less likely that people will misbehave because there are more potential witnesses. So it's possible that the increased activity will help prevent some of the littering and things. The applicant is here if you want to hear anything about the traffic study. I'm sure Mr. Goodman would be glad to speak to it, or any other concerns that you have about the development itself.
No, I think I'm good. I just wanted to make sure that some of the neighbors' concerns were addressed.
Yeah.
So.
We do encourage them to call code enforcement when there are issues, or if they witness somebody littering and can get a license plate number or anything like that, that they can file a police complaint. That's certainly an appropriate thing to call the non-emergency police number for, and to provide as much information as possible and to be a good witness for that. We've heard Alderman Turner speak to that before about being a good witness for the police. So, those are the kinds of things that we can do, but we can't really hold a new business accountable for the existing behavior of bad actors.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have a roll call on this, or?
Yes. Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. Okay, item G. This is a motion to deny an ordinance creating a Class C-1 liquor license for 3201 Waukegan Gas, LLC, also known as Citgo Gas Station, 3201 North Lewis Avenue. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman Hayes. Any questions to this motion?
Why are we making a motion to deny?
We're making a motion to deny, I believe, correct me if this is wrong, but the C1 includes liquor, and we don't have any gas stations selling hard liquor right now. It's just beer and wine, I believe.
I see, yeah.
I can clarify a little bit if you'd like me to, Chair.
Yes, please.
So in 2018, the City Council adopted ordinance number 18046, which created new subclasses for gas stations and basically grandfathered in 7 existing gas stations that had full licenses for beer, wine, and spirits. At the time, the City Council declared a position that no further C1 licenses should be issued unless that position was overruled by ordinance. Since that time, new gas stations that have sought liquor licenses have been directed by the licensing division of the Finance Department to apply for an F1 license, which allows the sale of beer and wine. And so this applicant is asking, notwithstanding the prior policy of the City Council, to basically overrule Ordinance 18046 to create a new C1 license that would allow the sale of beer, wine, and spirits at this location. So it was put forward as a motion to deny. If you'd like us to bring it back as a motion to amend the prior ordinance to add a new one and to create a new policy, we can do that. But we wanted to at least provide you with that historical background.
Thank you.
Can I make one?
Yes,
There's
please.
a liquor store like a half a block away. I
do
mean, a
people
full-fledged liquor store.
How will people get there?
They can either walk or
Well, it's on the
drive.
same
I
side
mean,
of the road.
it's
So
right
they
there.
could drive to the liquor store, but they can't drive to the gas station? That doesn't make sense. Why would we not allow them to sell something?
Because there's already someone right there selling
You're
it.
not here to control competition.
Maybe
right?
you're not, Alderman Turner.
Well, I'm not. I'm not here to control competition in a free market.
Well, then you can vote to
I'm gonna vote. Now, you know how I'm
how
gonna
you
vote.
want to vote.
Don't
but
be mad at me.
I'm not mad.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So maybe I misunderstood. Are there any gas stations in Waukegan that are selling hard liquor now, or since 2018 when it was amended? Have any gas stations been awarded is it an F1 license? Excuse me, a C1 license to sell liquor?
No, and Madam Clerk, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but none have been added to the original 7. And if those 7 continue on, if those 7 begin to amortize, go out of business, presumably none additional ones would be actually added without further direction from the City Council.
Sure, okay. So it seems to me that the ordinance was put in place for a reason a couple of years back, and
Yeah, we had a bunch of prudes that didn't like alcohol.
some people were probably grandfathered in, and we're just, and a vote to deny this would be consistent with how the City Council has proceeded on other applications.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Another reason, I mean, this is right between our wards. It's technically in his ward, am I right, Felix?
Yes.
And then right adjacent to mine. And the people in my ward came to the last planning and zoning meeting and complained about how much garbage there was and liquor bottles and all this stuff. So that's one of the reasons I feel we don't need to add more to that intersection. Now we're putting a Starbucks there. We don't need, I'm kind of doing it on behalf of those residents that came pleading not to add more to that corner than is already there. We've got Target, we've got Jewel, we've got Burger King, we've got, Taco Bell. It's a busy intersection already, and like I said, there's a liquor store already just on the other side of the car wash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a stone's throw away. So that's the only reason I'm
Well,
saying what I'm
I
saying.
don't think we should limit business. Alderman Moiseo has said it before, I've said it before, we are the most non-business friendly city I've ever seen. I've lived in 7 states and untold number of cities. I mean, they want to have they've got a store there, they're selling any number of items and products. I don't see where it's going to hurt or it's going to cause any conflict, and that's the nature of business, competition. You know, some of us own businesses, including Alderman Florian. She competes with other of a similar business, so I just don't see it. I always vote for freedom.
All right.
Yes, you do.
May I have a motion to seat Alderman Mozio, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Motion by Alderman Hayes, seconded by Alderman Florian. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, if there are no further questions, can we proceed for a roll call, please?
Just a moment, sorry.
Do we have a first and a second, correct?
I believe
Yes,
so, yes.
Alderman Florian made the motion, Alderman Hayes seconded.
Okay.
Deny? An aye
Aye
is to deny?
that's correct. Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
No.
Alderman Moiseo?
No.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye. Thank you. Item H, motion to approve an ordinance creating a Class 1, A1 liquor license for The Maple, Waukegan, 1508 Washington Street. May I have a first and a second?
So moved.
Alderman Mozio, seconded by
Seconded.
Alderman Hayes. Any questions to this motion?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I mean, people might drive over there and no, go ahead.
All right, if there are no questions, may I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye, thank you. That concludes the old business. Now we will proceed to new business. Under new business, item A, motion to approve a resolution approving a memorandum of key terms for the construction, development, and operation of the temporary by American Place and the American Place Casino. May I have a motion and a second, please? Motion by Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman
Me?
Turner. Any questions to this motion?
I'm assuming they're here. I
Yes.
see some. I have just a couple questions, as usual.
Yeah, you can go up here.
That way you
Thank you.
can be heard in the microphone. My main question is, and I had asked this of our corporate counsel too. I know there was an initial, throw across the bow to you guys, which we had in our possession, and then whatever. Anyway, then you guys gave back your, so what concessions do you feel you made to the city based on the initial presentation given to you?
I don't recall what the initial presentation was. There were a lot of back and forths, as there are normally with large agreements like this, but there were definitely items that the city followed what our requests, and there were definitely items that we followed what the city requested. Whether it was the purchase option timing, the guaranteed annual rent, the upfront payments for opening expenses. I'm sure if I go through this, there were very few items here that went one way or the other as either party had requested.
Okay.
Alderman Florian, if I remember them, if you let me.
Well, I know what you told me. I just wanted to hear from their point of view. I remember what you told me. So thank you for that, Stuart. Okay, on page 7, going into page 8, it talks about zoning, land use, and development, and then additional terms. So have we talked at all about like the carbon footprint or solar or, I don't know, water saving, ways of, I mean, this is a big facility. There's going to be a lot of people coming and going. I know we kind of talked about it initially, but I didn't really see anything in here. Did I miss it, or is there no plan for environmental impact?
It was not one of the priority items for this document, which sort of laid out the basic economic terms for the lease agreement and the host and development community agreements that we're going to be working on together. That said, this 8 to 10 page document is going to be, I'll defer to the attorneys, converted into two 50-plus page documents, so there will be plenty of opportunities to work on every other items. Not everything could obviously be included in here.
Okay, so that won't be forgotten about,
No, I mean.
because I'm going to keep bringing it up. Okay.
Yeah, and we're happy to talk. If there's certain
Okay.
things that, you'd like to see, obviously, everything's on the table.
Okay, and then, sorry, I'm going to jump around a little here. On page 2, and I don't know if this is a question for you or for Stuart, but it's talking about the special assessments, which are due and payable annually through the year 2030. Now, are those the like HOA fees we pay out there? Is that what that's referring to?
Yeah, Noelle was actually here when they were implemented, so she can speak a little bit more accurately than I'll let her speak.
So the fees that are similar to the HOA, those are the common area maintenance fees. Those are also listed here.
Oh, and number 1,
The
okay.
special assessment was related to some utility work that was done there, and so the cost of that utility work was borne by the property owners there, not by the general taxpayers of the city.
So that ends in 2030, is that why
Right,
that says it?
that cost
Okay.
will be paid off in that year.
Okay, I was confused about that. Okay, and then on page 5, it says, under B, well, it's the second one, there's 1 through 5, and then 1 and 2 under B. It says, a public way and intersection improvements necessary to accommodate traffic generated by the permanent facility. And above that, it says the developer will construct mutually agreed upon off-site improvements. So how far away from the facility are we talking? Are we talking about the tollway
No.
improvement too?
No, we're not. This would be within the direct proximity, so things that would be kind of on the bordering arterials. You'd be looking at improvements on Waukegan, on Lakehurst, on Fountain Place,
Okay.
but on public roads. Normally, a developer is only responsible for things that are on the property they're building, but occasionally what they build has an impact outside of that. With regard to like the tollway, there are other options that the city has put in place to finance that, which would not be the developer's responsibility.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. And it's Alex, right?
Yes.
Okay. One last question. So on page, well, I don't know, I guess this one's not numbered. It's Exhibit D, and it talks about your diversity and inclusion plan, and who you will hire and who you won't, and it talks about you won't discriminate against any employee, and you list several things there. What about people that have a record? You don't mention that in here.
A criminal record?
Yes.
That one's a little tricky for a gaming company because most of our employees have to go through licensure by the Illinois Gaming Board. So that's a challenging one for us, for any gaming company.
Right, but does that automatically exclude people from being employed by you?
I'm going to let council handle that one.
It's okay.
My name is Kim Kopp. I represent Full House in this endeavor. We're the lawyers from Taft, Stevenson, Hollister. As Alex was saying, are we intending not to hire anyone with a criminal record? Of course, the answer is no. We'd like to hire anyone we can possibly hire, especially now that it's a tough market to find people to work.
Right.
But what Alex is saying is true. Every employee inside the casino will need to be licensed by the gaming board. So we will have to follow what their requirements are. Depending upon the positions, they have different rules or regulations. For example, someone who's working in the cage cash room may have a higher standard than someone who is working, away from immediate transactions with folks and in different operations. So there is certainly no intent to discriminate against that, but we will have to comply with the Illinois Gaming Board rules and regulations on that. We can certainly petition them to quote-unquote loosen some up, but they do have general disclosure requirements for any criminal activity and different regulations depending upon the type of job it is, of what is permitted and what is not permitted.
Is there anything about how long it's been?
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you. Like if it's been 20 years, does it matter compared to 2 years?
That's certainly an extenuating circumstance, of course, that can
Okay.
be petitioned for the gaming board, yes. I mean, certainly if it's something that happened, I was a kid, whatever, something. Of course, they do look at that as part of their factors in their licensing.
Okay, thank you very much for
problem. Thank
answering
you.
those questions.
No, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
I have a
Yes,
question.
Alderman Hayes.
Just want to clarify one point. We're approving these terms so that the parties can start negotiating, but the terms that we're approving today are not necessarily binding. This isn't the final contract. I'm saying this for myself, but also for everybody who's watching or listening, is that this isn't a final document. This is just providing the parties some stable ground upon which to negotiate.
Yeah, this generally shows the direction of the meeting of the minds. The reason that we say that it's non-binding is because we've got two factors here. One, as Alex said, this is going to turn into two very large documents, the ground lease and purchase option, and then the development and host community agreement. And then basically everything that we come up with also has to be approved by the Illinois Gaming Board. So one of the things, it's kind of like having, a third spouse in a relationship that only drops in occasionally, only to argue against your point once you've made it. So that's really kind of the way this is structured. But we feel that, for the purposes of the public, to promote disclosure, and for the purposes of keeping the city council apprised, that it was very important to bring this forward. And then also, there is one point that although the city council has authorized the Full House to enter on the property by a temporary easement, which was granted by the city council a few months ago, they can't begin, even moving dirt around, basically until they get some sort of commitment from the city. And so they are obviously very anxious to get working on their temporary casino, which is going to create jobs, and have that open by this summer. So one of the things that we've been working for is kind of this staged negotiation agreement and then roll out of the more technical documents, which are going to be around for literally decades.
Okay, I think that's really helpful. Thank you, Stu. One last point, if I could. Alderman Florian raised some really great points, but one of the bullet points under additional terms on page 8 just says, establish a line of communication with the management of the Genesee Theater to coordinate bookings and avoid conflicts and competition. It's just a point of commentary. I just want to encourage, I would hate to see any sort of cannibalization between what they have going on at the Genesee and what you'll have, obviously, at the casino. So I just want to encourage more than just an open line of communication, but perhaps even just getting together to schedule events and do as much as you can to avoid any issues. The Genesee is obviously a gem of Waukegan, and we want to make sure that it remains successful and,
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, Alderman.
Right.
That's definitely 100% the intent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. If there are no further questions, may I have a roll call?
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. Item B, motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for 1 North Sheridan Road to permit a public museum, zoning calendar number 2657. May I have a motion by Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman Hayes? Any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Excuse me, aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye, thank you. Item C, motion to approve an ordinance granting a variation for parking within the required front yard at 1 North Sheridan Road, zoning calendar number 2658 and zoning calendar, zoning calendar 2658. May I have a motion, please? Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman Hayes.
The tag team.
Any questions?
I'd like an explanation of that. I'm not aware of a front yard at that building.
It's probably just,
Where's the front yard?
Yeah, I believe it's more of a side yard, but Noel, can you
I didn't
elaborate?
hear the whole question, but it's parking in the front yard?
Yes, yeah.
So the zoning ordinance defines the front yard as the property that's in front of the building. Whether it's directly in front or sort of to the side in front, it's still part of the front yard as defined in the zoning ordinance. Parking in the front yard is prohibited, except in this case, the petitioner would like to have handicap parking spaces immediately adjacent to the building. And so staff has recommended support for this, approval of this request to have this variance for parking in the front yard so that they can have 2 ADA accessible spaces accommodated adjacent to the building.
Where would they be located, Noel?
They're in the front yard and slightly north of the building, so just northwest of the building.
So are they gonna have to build some kind of supporting structure, like a elevated platform over that bluff?
Yes, sir, they're building an addition to the building
Yeah.
that will include elevator access to all floors as well as stairwell access, and I believe ADA accessible restrooms, is that correct? So that new wing to the north side of the building will accommodate all of the accessibility needs to make the whole building handicapped accessible, and then will be immediately adjacent to that parking.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no further questions, roll call, please.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye, thank you. Item D, motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit to allow a building that exceeds the height limitation in the I-1 district at 1200 Gladstone. This is from zoning calendar number 2659. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Alderman Turner, seconded by Alderman Moiseo. Any questions to this motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye, thank you. Item E, motion to adopt a resolution approving FHR-Illinois LLC's request for extended operation hours for temporary casino facility at 600 Lakehurst Road, 4001-4011 Fountain Square. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Hayes. Seconded by Alderman Florian. Any questions to this motion?
Yes, sir, if I may. What are the extended hours? What are the hours of operation to be?
I believe it's 24 hours, but can you confirm that?
Yes, the
Noel?
request is for a 24-hour operation. The zoning ordinance limits the hours of operation to 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. for businesses. So the requirement is that they go to the Development Review Board and the City Council, and they have been approved at the Development Review Board and are now here at City Council with that request.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any further questions?
I don't know if it's pertinent. The reason we requested that was, it's very common in our industry, but it's also the hours of operation for all the competing casinos around here, specifically the Rivers, the Elgin Casino, and the Potawatomi. They all operate 24/7, so it was critical for us to do so as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that explanation. Roll call?
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye, thank you. Item F, motion to adopt a resolution approving Independence Center's request for extended operating hours for the living room located at 1730 Washington Street. May I have a first and a second, please?
So moved.
Okay, first by Alderman Moiseo, seconded by
I'll second.
Alderman Hayes. Thank you, Alderman Hayes. Any questions to this motion?
I have.
Alderman?
Noel, wasn't the staff's recommendation not to approve this?
The planning department staff didn't have a recommendation on this. I don't know if anybody's here from the living room. Did you hear that? The state's attorney's office and some of the support team will be here at 7 PM at the city council meeting to answer any questions.
Okay.
If I may?
Yes, please.
So, excuse me, as I understand it, this facility is going to be an intake facility for, I think, what is it, mentally
People in a
challenged?
crisis.
Pardon me?
Isn't it people in a mental crisis at the time?
It's just an intake facility, right? So they kind of, hey, how you doing? They ask a survey and such. And then if they are not able to admit them into some other facility, then what? They just push them back out the door, or do they sleep on a cot? Or what happens as part of that intake process? And I understand they're wanting to do this, was it 24 hours, 24/7? So what happens if someone walks in at 3 o'clock in the morning, the bar is closed, they're drunk, they lost their keys and can't get home, and they say, hey, can you intake me? And they say, not really. And they just push them out the door. I'm just not understanding what the process is and what happens to the, I don't want that neighborhood to become inundated with,
So you don't care about the freedom of the drunk people?
no, I don't.
Well, as Noel indicated, they are, I think it was Thomas, they will be here at 7 to answer those questions.
We can vote it here, and then we'll get the questions answered at the council.
At the
If you change your
council.
vote, you change your vote. Pretty simple.
Sounds good?
Yep.
All right, may I have a roll call?
If I could, I think it's worth noting that the Development Review Board did hear this, I believe, right, and approved it? Is that?
They did. I was not at the meeting, but my understanding is it was a unanimous favorable vote.
Okay.
And the minutes of the DRB were on board docs, reflecting the approval.
Oh, that's right. There was
Alderman
Okay.
Turner, maybe I have very limited personal knowledge of this, but I did understand that the overnight intake would be with police drop-off. So somebody couldn't necessarily walk up to the building and be admitted, but it would be a police escort with a warm handoff where the police officer would take them inside and get them introduced and connected and then could leave.
Very much.
You have something to add, Mr. Sellis?
As the chairman of the Development Review Board, I was there, and we did have support from a lot of people that did show up to the Development Review Board meeting. And as well, in the minutes, it is noted that Interim Chief Zupek also said very good words about this facility. So they're there as kind of a median where they don't incarcerate somebody, but they don't put them in a hospital. So they take them in, they assess them, and then they do what they need to do from there.
Well, I kind of share Alderman Turner's concern just because of, it's on a thoroughfare, but it's in a neighborhood. And that's, I mean, there's houses, I'm assuming, right behind it. So that would be my only concern. So it'll be interesting when they're here if they can answer some of those questions.
Didn't we have a similar situation with pads that was supposed to be an intake facility and administrative, blah, 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 and now we
So
got.
Alderman Turner, that's a little different. PADS was just, it was supposed to be, but that's a whole nother ball. This, I think, is, both of them are sorely needed. I think we just vote this and we get to council. I think we'll get our questions answered.
Thank you, Mr. Sellis.
Okay, any further questions? If none, may I have a roll call?
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Chairman Rivera?
Aye, thank you. Okay, with reports and communications, we have the item A, 2021 Annual Action Plan Amendment 3 for the Community Development Block Grant Department, CDBG. I believe, Noel, you're going to elaborate a little bit on this?
Yes, Ms. Garland was unable to be here this evening, so with her apologies, she has asked me to just brief you very quickly. CDBG currently has a 30-day public comment period open prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development of this amendment. This 30-day public comment period started on April 26th and ends on May 26th. So anybody who wishes to make comments on this amendment should submit those to the Community Development Block Grant Department. This amendment allocates additional funds that are available to the rehab program in both rehab administration in the amount of $100,000 and the housing rehab program in the amount of $175,000.
All right, thank you very much, Noel.
You're welcome.
There being no further items, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Florian, seconded by Alderman Hayes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting at 5:43.